The last time we talked about Cyberpunk 2077 and CD Projekt, we were going over some new delay rumors, how hype was definitely a bit deflated, and CD Projekt's mysterious silence on the Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter. Well, in the days since releasing that video, things have completely turned around. As in the past few days, we've seen a totally new announcement of Night City Wire 4, some new leaks around the achievements of the game, and a nice little surprise with some new gameplay releasing earlier today if you're watching this as it comes out. And this gameplay is pretty interesting, showing off those parts of the game that we are desperately trying to see more of. So in this video, I want to go over all of that. If you guys want to keep up to date with Cyberpunk 2077 or its future, you can get subscribed. I'm going to have full coverage on this game, including on Night City Wire 5, and we are now only 25 days away from this game getting released. So first and foremost, let's take a look at this new gameplay. This is more of a surprise release, actually released on a German television program. The entire segment is an interview with some members of CD Projekt going over Cyberpunk 2077, showing the German translation of it, and along the way, little clips were spliced in that do show totally new things, certain segments of the game that we've simply never seen before. And this is interesting for a couple of reasons. One, it's just more gameplay of Cyberpunk, and at several points, it's just these nice panning shots looking at Night City, which are the types of things I love to see, but we could also spot some changes from past builds of the game and how they compare to this build of the game, which is presumed to be one of the newer ones. So going through the gameplay, and I'll have a full uncut version of this new gameplay at the end of this, one of the first things you really take notice of is just the world. At several points, we get these nice little pauses and just panning shots from the player character in first person. I feel like we've seen this a couple of times now, most often in some of those trailers where there's no HUD or anything, but seeing it like this actually in the game as somebody is playing really kind of takes you back. I think it does a great job at showcasing the density, just how active and how much is going on in this world, and also just the darkness of it at certain points. And even though it's small, it's one of those things that does get me pretty hyped about exploring this world for myself, which speaking of, even though the bitrate on this video isn't the highest, we also get a look at this character. He looks great. I couldn't actually identify the character himself, but you can just see the details between his jacket, his arm, and all of the bling he has on his neck, both actually integrated into him as implants and also things he is wearing. It's a really small clip, but I feel like it does show a lot about the detail and level of customization we will hope to see. We get a look at NCPD jumping out of one of those mobile craft. I have a feeling this will be one of those cool things where you mess around in Night City, very similar to GTA-esque events, taking down a ton of people and just fighting off NCPD as they do eventually show up. One of the scenes that seemed to get a retouch or a bit of an upgrade was this Atom Smasher scene. It's very similar both in the animation as well as just the overall scene compared to the one we saw in the past, but you can definitely tell around his eyes and some of the other face details got a bit of an upgrade. Even though the newer video is definitely a lower bitrate, I think it does look better, without a doubt making him look a bit more menacing. Something small that's a nice touch, during one of these panning scenes, you can see there's just a random dude in a wheelchair. Doesn't seem like he's a significant NPC one way or another. It's kind of cool to see that, just in the background, some random dude that fits into the world that way, because that is actually what you'd see in the real world from time to time. And then we get another look at the character creator, and we can definitely see here, Female V got a bit of an upgrade or overhaul from the last time we've seen the character creator, although it has been a while, and it looks like this is completely new footage that we have not seen yet, as we actually get a bit of an insight into the character creator itself. Some of the options we can see on display here are skin color, skin type, hairstyle, hair color, eyes, eye color, beard style, beard color, cyberware, face, scars, face, tattoos, face, then piercings, piercing color, teeth, makeup for your eyes, and makeup for your lips. This not being a comprehensive look, but definitely being quite a bit of a better look than we've had in a long time. We recently heard from the German Cyberpunk 2077 Facebook page that we could change our teeth as well as the length of our nails in the character creator. Seems like this is going to be an insanely in-depth creator that we'll spend probably many hours in. And then lastly, we get another more updated shot of Johnny Silverhand, and I love this. From the 2019 gameplay where Johnny Silverhand left a bit to be desired to now where I think he actually looks pretty good. So funny enough, this gameplay, although super brief, I feel like had almost everything people want to see. We got some Johnny Silverhand, we got more of the character creator, we just got natural panning shots of walking around the city, and this little minute and a half of gameplay has actually gotten me more hyped than the Night City Wire 5 announcement. But again, at the end of the video, I'll have the full uncut version, and I'll have a link in the description to the full 7-minute German TV segment if you do speak German. Unfortunately, there's no translations posted yet. But moving on from that exciting gameplay news, we also do have the announcement from Cyberpunk 2077 of Night City Wire 5. This dropping on November 19th at 6 p.m. CET, or 12 p.m. Eastern Time, the same time all the other Night City Wires have dropped. And as some of you will probably recall, this was the third release date for Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk. As far as what we could expect here, in the post, CD Projekt does say, get ready for episode 5 of Night City Wire. We'll talk about your favorite rocker boy, Johnny Silverhand, share a variety of Night City's tunes, and a lot more. It's going to be a big one. And clearly, based off this little GIF, as well as this response, there is going to be a gameplay trailer dropped at this, or at the very least, it basically seems confirmed. I imagine the format of this one will actually be kind of similar to the other ones. There are a few other things out there that CD Projekt has said we'll see at some point, like console gameplay, that we haven't really seen yet, perhaps not building the hype the biggest, but at the same time, as we approach release, it would give you an actual look at what this game will look like when you play it. And although I am very excited for Cyberpunk 2077 in general, this is probably my least anticipated Night City Wire. Music's cool, Johnny Silverhand's cool, but they're not the type of things I really want to see before release. I'm excited to experience them in game. I like seeing them in trailers from time to time, but as far as an entire Night City Wire dedicated to it, I'm not really that excited. And Night City Wire episode 4 was probably my favorite. I feel like it is kind of odd for them to go this route because we were at a point where hype was definitely deflated. I would have expected the Night City Wire coming off the big delay, not big in the time it was delayed, but big in the impact it had on community excitement, to be something else, not just music. But who knows, maybe I'll end up loving this Night City Wire the most anyway. It's not like we're only going to hear about music. Oftentimes they have a couple of things being shown per Night City Wire. But speaking of music, a couple of other things released by CD Projekt. A new music video by Run the Jewels was just posted. This featuring some of the original music that will appear in Cyberpunk 2077. The music video being awesome and representing some familiar faces, things we've seen in trailers, sometimes several trailers, and they also just posted up another song. So I'll have links to both of those down below if you want to build your hype. There's some of this music on in the background because it is very, very good. Something pretty interesting worth noting posted by Mikey Morphin on Reddit is how some game retailers, this seemingly being Game in the UK, are getting some of the promotional materials for Cyberpunk 2077. This being the things you typically see at least in GameStop in the US when a game releases. You have pop-outs, you have balloons, etc. So now, of course, this inherently doesn't mean there's not going to be another delay, but it's another piece of evidence that another delay is not imminent. Or at least if anything, what I'm still speculating is if there was to be another delay, which I don't think is likely, they wouldn't delay everything. They would just delay current gen. Now again, there's no evidence of any kind of delay, and actually now some more evidence that no other delays are coming. I mean, literally this box art is for current gen. But then one final thing that is kind of an interesting one to cover. I wasn't sure if I was going to cover it at all, or actually some leaks around Cyberpunk 2077. As we approach the final stretch and as eventually review codes start to go out, depending on how wide scale these review codes are distributed, there will invariably be some leaks around this game. Now, at least thus far, that hasn't happened. I haven't gotten a review code. I don't know of anyone else who currently has a review code. Maybe major outlets have gotten the game thus far. But this first leak actually comes from CD Projekt themselves, as accidentally on the GOG Galaxy app for a period of time, achievements were revealed for the game. This not being all of the achievements, the story spoiler achievements themselves, so things that actually have pivotal story moments in the achievement, were not revealed. So all we really got was minor things. It was accidentally leaked by CD Projekt themselves, and as such, I will be covering this particular leak. But of course, if you don't want any spoilers, if you're trying to go in blind outside of official marketing material, then skip this part of the video. But again, most of this is relatively minor. So as far as what the achievements are themselves, I'm just going to run through them. Nothing super crazy here. City Lights is complete all gigs and NCPD scanner hustles in the city. From some of the hands-on previews, we heard that when you first get into Night City and look at that map, there's a ton of things to do. All kinds of other miscellaneous jobs or even side quests outside of the main objectives with your story missions. Full body conversion, install at least one implant in each system and body part. Right back at you. Kill or incapacitate an enemy who threw a grenade at you. The Wandering Fool, find all Tarot graffiti. Autojock, buy all vehicles available for purchase. This is probably going to be harder than you think. We've heard how several vehicles in this game are actually really expensive, and in the past it's been described that some vehicles you could only get by doing certain quests. So if you want to kind of be a vehicle collector, which apparently some playtesters were becoming vehicle collectors, it's not just going to be beat the game and you're good. There might be a few extra steps involved or saving some of those eddies. Frequent Flyer, find all fast travel data terms. Gun Fu, kill or incapacitate 3 enemies in quick succession with a revolver or pistol in close combat. Gunslinger, shoot an enemy grenade in midair with a revolver. Master Crafter, craft 3 legendary items. This is an interesting one because I don't actually know how exactly this will work. Legendary weapons were described in a past interview as being pretty special. Like if you develop a certain affinity or help out a certain character during a quest, Meredith Stout being the example given, she may award you with a legendary weapon after a while, after you kind of get to know her. And it was described described as being something that really has an identity associated with that character. Now, it doesn't seem like it'll just be a stat upgrade. I'll be curious to see how that fits in with things overall. The crafting system, other items like armors with 3 legendary items. Is that just armors and weapons, or does that apply to other things like chems and cybernetics also? I am the law, complete all cyber psycho sightings. So cyber psychos were described by Paris after he got a hands-on with Cyberpunk 2077, where he basically says he runs into somebody called a cyber psycho who has a grudge against NCPD and are literally shooting them with a sniper rifle. After killing him, he got a high-powered sniper rifle that he could then use. We have Mean Streets in Little Tokyo, which are complete all gigs and NCPD scanner hustles in Haywood and Westbrook. Christmas Tree Attack, complete a breach protocol with a minimum of 3 daemons uploaded. So it's not totally clear what this breach protocol is going to be. Seemingly something around netrunners. Daemons are almost like little programs you could upload in Cyberpunk, like one, for example, a short circuit, which overloads a target's cyberware and deals electrical damage. So this will somehow tie into all of that. The Quick and the Dead, kill or incapacitate 50 enemies while time is slowed. Must Be Rats, perform the distract enemies quick hack 30 times without drawing attention to yourself. Probably going to be super easy for stealth characters, not so easy if you're not. Breathtaking, because of course there had to be a breathtaking achievement. Collect all items that once belonged to Johnny Silverhand, which is a pretty cool one. The Wasteland, complete all gigs and NCPD scanner hustles in the Badlands. Damon in the Shell, kill or incapacitate 3 enemies with 1 detonate grenade quick hack. Another pretty simple one, we saw this during some of the gameplay. Stanilovsky's Method, use a dialogue option related to V's life path 10 times. We have heard, depending on which of the 3 life paths you choose at the start, it'll kind of influence your gameplay across an entire playthrough. You'll just have an extra dialogue option because you were raised a certain way, so you may have some background knowledge. I find it interesting that this is the achievement though, because 10 times seems relatively low. Makes you wonder how often this will pop up across the entire game. 10 out of 10, reach the max level in any skill. Rough landing, while Berserk cyberware is active, perform a superhero landing to kill or incapacitate 2 enemies. I assume depending on which cyberware you do have, you can kind of literally land and have this kind of crashing effect, almost like Fallout 4 power armor while you crash down. That's a really cool achievement. I'm happy they added that one in. The World is complete the main storyline. I feel like that's actually a kind of boring name for this one. Greetings from Pacifica and the Jungle, complete all gigs and NCPD scanner hustles in Pacifica and Santo Domingo. True Soldier, kill or incapacitate 300 enemies using ranged weapons. True Warrior, same thing except for melee weapons and 100 enemies. 2 heads, 1 bullet, kill or incapacitate 2 enemies with the same sniper rifle shot. That could be near impossible to do. V for Vendetta, after reviving yourself with Second Heart, kill or incapacitate the enemy who killed you. Based on the wording, it seems like Second Heart will be some kind of revival perk or perhaps item. So maybe after your health reaches 1 or 0, it literally refreshes it or gives you a health boost of some kind. It's elementary, complete all gigs and NCPD scanner hustles in Watson. Legend of the Afterlife, reach max street cred. And based off this, it seems like there's 14 other achievements that are story related and were hidden. This based off this image we saw on PlayStation a while ago from one of the playtesters, seeming to show 100% completion and of course all of the various trophies. So going forward, depending on what kind of leaked information comes out, I'll probably cover it on a case-by-case basis. If it's super hardcore leaks, I probably won't cover it so overtly, but maybe just mention, hey, this is out there if you want to look for it yourself, especially if gameplay starts leaking out. That's the type of stuff that I tend to stray away from. But these achievements weren't super revealing, but definitely did give us some interesting insights here or there. But to wrap this up, if you want to check out that raw gameplay for yourself, here's the full minute and a half or so.
Die Reise geht nach Night City, ein Moloch an der amerikanischen Westküste.
Die Stadt lässt dir keine Wahl. Entweder verbrennst du bei lebendigem Leib oder du hast nie...
Riesiger Konzerne. Genre-typisch fragt das Spiel, wo Menschlichkeit beginnt und wo sie endet. Körpermodifikationen sind in Night City an der Tagesordnung.
Wir haben viel daran gearbeitet, einen hohen Spielfluss herzustellen. Wenn ich mich als Spieler durch die Stadt bewege und neue Charaktere treffe, habe ich keinerlei Schnitte, keine Unterbrechungen. Als Spieler ist die Erlebnisse in der Geschichte mich sehr berühren.
Mit welchen Cyberimplantaten wird wie ausgestattet? Dafür ist das Spiel umso größer. Entstanden? Die SpielerInnen werden in diese
Ich hab ihn erwartet.
Wie ein guter Film noir kennt auch Cyberpunk im Homeoffice, überall auf der Welt.
Vertrau mir oder auch nicht, mir scheißegal. Das ist echt das kleinste unserer Probleme.
Keanu Reeves hat eine Hauptrolle übernommen.
Du bist Vergangenheit, Arsch.
Was heißt es, in dieser Welt Mensch zu sein? Wie reagieren die Spieler? Geben sie Royce das Geld?
Habt die Miske, ihr Wichser!
Es geht auch pazifistisch.
Hier ist das Geld, Roy.